Hello there, it's Dave out there bushcraft. Just in the woods again doing some short videos. We've just completed a video looking at the Siberian fire lay for those kind of windy conditions that we know we sometimes get. And you know, a nice kind of technique to use if you're a paddler, you know, you're out in an open boat and stopping on windy islands and so on. If you're somebody who does a lot of your bushcraft or exploring around coastal areas where you can get onshore winds that can kind of play havoc with your fire lighting, then the Siberian or event fire lay is a really good one to use. We're going to do a couple of other videos today, but just a quick bit of information before I start. I am trialling this pair of gloves. They are from a company called Top of the Range. I like military style gloves because they are designed to allow you to do things that require dexterity, operating radios and equipment, cocking rifles, loading and unloading magazines, so on and so forth. So they need to be a glove that gives you, you know, plenty of kind of feel and sensitivity through the gloves. So I often trial kind of military gloves for that reason. Also they're protective, they're well protected on the knuckles, and so they're quite useful for working around woodland where there's, you know, lumps of wood flying about and all that kind of thing, and the chance of whacking your knuckles. And you will all know, of course, you seasoned bushcrafters will have little scars. I've got a few on my hands as a result of using tools and so on, so they are quite protective. I'm not here to endorse in that way. In terms of reviews, I will review items that are sent to me, and if I think they're worth looking at and of value potentially to starters, beginners or experienced bushcrafters, then of course I will let you know about it, because I think that's the right thing to do. So these are from Top of the Range. I'll put the link below. I'm finding them really useful at the moment. I recently nicked my knuckle when I was working and not following the rules that I tell everybody else to follow, of course, and it's been aching in the winter quite a bit, but actually these gloves have a kind of nice fleecy lining. I bought a pair of size mediums knowing that they fit small. I think that was the right thing to do, because although they are a small fit on a size medium hand as I have, there was no point in me ordering a large pair and then complaining that they didn't give you that sort of dexterity. They're designed to fit tight and fit close. They don't make your fingers tired or anything. They're not so restrictive they have to work hard to move your hands. But they are certainly worth a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wear them for loads of activities. I wore them to drive here actually, and that's a good test of a pair of gloves. I'm going to wear them for lots of activities, I'll let you know, but right now I'm really impressed with them, so they're top of the range, worth a look. Okay, and there are other bits and pieces that I've been buying and people have sent me recently, and I'll be having a look at those. I'm actually wearing a pair of trousers at the moment from Pyke. These are the Pyke Weardale trousers, and again these are a winter trousers. They are lined and keeping me very warm at the moment. Okay. The next thing I'm going to look at then, as I said, we've already looked at the Siberian fire lay. I thought I would stick with fire. I have a little folding stove that I bought myself very recently, and I just thought I would maybe give that a go and see how well that works, and that might be a useful thing for you guys to see too. I know there are lots of brilliant folding stoves out there, so I'm not necessarily recommending or otherwise at this stage, but I do think a folding stove's a nice thing to have, because it limits the damage that you do. It's a little bit more palatable to your average landowner if you're going to use a folding stove and have your fire off the ground. And it's great if you're a family just going out for a bit of a wander and you want to maybe cook some food out there, or do a hot chocolate or whatever. So I just thought I would have a look at one of these relatively cheap folding stoves, and we'll see what we think. Haven't used it yet, it's been out of the packet and that's it, but I'll certainly get that out now. We'll have a bit of a look and take it from there. Okay, see you shortly. Right, so the stove that I'm going to show you today then is the Lixada portable folding stove. Very straightforward design. This is a stainless steel thing. It comes with hinged sides so that you've already got some of the work done. Some of these folding stoves, the entire thing folds up and is separate, and therefore you have to pin each side. But with this particular one, and with lots of others I have to say, you get a stove that is hinged to an extent anyway. You then get an insert, which is where your fire's going to be. There are other inserts that you get with these things. So this one has a little tray like this that you can fit certain kinds of the transit burners and so on. Once you've got that closed, you've got a pin, just a little pin that you pop through the final hinge, and really that's the job done. The whole thing comes in a little pouch. I'll put the link below to this particular stove, but of course I'm not reviewing it in the sense that there are lots of other stoves out there, and there might be ones that you choose that you prefer over this. You might like the titanium ones for the weight and so on. Doesn't really bother me too much. Okay, so that's your stove set up. Okay, you need some cross pieces so that whatever you put on top here, if it was big enough, would just sit on the top, but if it's not, you don't want it to fall through the gap, so it makes sense to put this particular item in place. They slot together so they're flush at the top. You'll notice they have these slits in the sides. One of them is smaller than the others, that one, and that's the one that's going to go towards what is effectively the back of the stove, something like that. Okay, so that's your stove set up. There are other pieces that come with the stove in the bag, and obviously the bag's really useful because that's going to get sooty and potentially dirty. It's going to go back into my pack, so it's handy to have that. So you have the insert for the transit burner if you want, and there's little bits and pieces for cleaning that come with it as well. And effectively all that's going to happen now is that you will light your fire in there. It's going to be a small stick fire. It would be easy even on a damp day just to carry those small sticks with you. And what I'm going to do is something very straightforward just to try it out. I'm going to pop the kettle on the top of there, and we're going to boil some water and see how it does. Okay, so I'll get that all set up and then I'll get back to you. Okay then, so the stove is set up. I've turned it actually at a slight angle because that wind I think is a little bit too windy at the moment to be able to light the fire. I'm just going to use a lighter at the moment, although these lighters are notorious for failing just when you need them, so we'll see what happens. I might have to use a fire steel. I've got a little bit of additional support for the fire, I suppose, in there, and what I'll do is I'll get this going, and then we'll pop some sticks in there and we'll see how it takes. Okay, so fire's up and running now. All I need to do is add a few sticks. You can see already that that's going quite well. Chuck my sticks in. See that wind is kind of really pushing it a bit, but that's actually okay once the fire's going. It's just a bit of an issue when we're first starting, so let's chuck a few sticks in there, get the fire going and see how it does boiling the water that I've got in my little faithful kettle, camping kettle, which is probably older than some of the people who are watching this video. Okay, right, so there we go. All that remains is for me to keep that fire going, and then we'll see how long it takes to boil some water there. So it's about 145 at the moment. There's enough water in there for a brew. That's going to be a hot chocolate because it's just one of those easy add water things, and that's all I'm really after at the moment. And we'll see how this little stove performs in ensuring that we get a brew when we need one out in the woods, or we could be, I don't know, heating some food up for the kids or whatever it is. Okay, come back to you in a while. Okay, I've just adjusted both the angle of the camera for your benefit and also the angle of the fire. I found it actually remarkably easy, particularly sitting on a log like this. I put it on the log just for your view, but also to show you that it's a pretty well sort of able to protect what's underneath, so we shouldn't see too much damage to the top of the log as we go. But actually what I noticed was it's quite nice and straightforward to move around on a surface like that if you need to, just to adjust the amount of the wind that's getting in there. The wind's slightly dropped off a little bit, so the flames are now behaving themselves, and hopefully that should boil the kettle pretty quickly. Kettle's got a plastic whistle and a plastic handle, which would be interesting to see how it copes with that. I've usually, in fact only in the past, used this kettle with gas stoves and tranches and so on like that, but I just thought I would give it a try because you know, I wanted to see if the flames from here would be efficient enough to not need to be huge and yet still boil the kettle. And obviously we'll soon know how that's going to work if I end up with a kettle that looks like an absolute melted mess. In terms of recommending the stove, I think any little folding stove can be quite useful to you, and I quite like the idea of families being able to pop a brew on, you know, when you're out with the kids, and that would be quite a nice thing to do, I think. So yeah, they're a useful little item. They don't weigh a great deal, they pack down next to nothing. You just have to carry some sticks and maybe a fire starter, lighter of some sort, and some kindling tinder and stuff, and away you go, and you're laughing. So yeah, not a bad little stove at all. Oh, I should say the other thing, I've cut my own hair. I hope you like it. It's all my own work. It's amazing what you can do with a small forest axe. Other than that, I'm going to stop. I'll get my hot chocolate on the go, and we'll see how it goes from there. Okay, thanks now.